Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Late Winner Show. Today, we're discussing the Serie season preview. I think we're going to cover the top teams in Serie and see what their season's expectations are. And I have Alex, Donno, and Mario. Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for having me. I hope everything's well, and it's nice to see Mario again, too.
What's going on? Thanks for having us. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Do you guys just mind like introducing yourself and telling us a little bit more about your channel?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start. Alex Donno, Calcio Connection podcast. Mario down there is basically a member of the family. He joins us a lot, but it's Jerry Mancini and I host the channel. He's a big Lazio supporter. I'm an Interista, so we get into some banter, some fun arguments, and we have a really good time. We stream Monday evenings normally around 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to start doing some more afternoon streams, and we do also have a Patreon channel, which is mostly Inter content. So I know that the fans of other clubs may not be as interested in that, but the Patreon channel is patreon.com/Calcio Connection. So we bring a ton of Serie A content there.
That's great.
I'm Mario
Gagliano.
Yeah. I'm featured guest on Calcio Connection, and feature on Inter Worldwide a lot, another Inter podcast content channel that's been rapidly growing in the English and speaking community and all that. I write for Serpents of Madonnina every now and then. Catch me on there doing roundtables and some random, opinionated articles that probably 3 people agree with, but that's me. Also support Palermo, so whenever they're relevant, I'm always sharing all their news and all that stuff, trying to keep them in the loop while they're playing the Serie right now. I almost made it to Serie B, which is cool.
Okay. Before we start, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, The Late Winner Show. Please follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well for just getting some news, what we're coming up with. We're going to come up with loads of new content in the future. So do make sure that you subscribe and follow us there as well. Yeah, let's just get started, right? I guess I have both Inter fans here with me, so why not just start with Inter? I think a lot has happened in the last 2 seasons with them. I think they made it, and Antonio Conte joined 2 years ago. They made it to the Europa League final 2 years ago, and then a year ago, and then this season they finished at the top of the Serie A. And what a performance. But now that being said, Hakimi's gone, Conte is gone, Lukaku is obviously gone. What happened to them, guys? And what are your expectations now?
Well, it's been a really frustrating summer, and it's not to say that there weren't some warning signs. I mean, the reason why there have been a couple of very high-profile outgoing transfers and a world-class manager who left, it really comes down to financial troubles for Inter's ownership. They're owned by a Chinese conglomerate called Suning, and Suning was hit very hard by the pandemic. There have also been restrictions put on them by the Chinese government that has made it very difficult for them to invest money in foreign businesses, which Inter, of course, an Italian football club, would count under that umbrella. So they have really had to make some strides to balance their books, and they even had to bring in a sizable loan from an American hedge fund called Oak Tree Capital late in the season last year, just so that they could start balancing the books and pay out some salaries that were past due. So it's been a financial issue, and obviously there have been some financial bonuses that came in from winning a Scudetto, and they have a new shirt sponsorship deal. So there has been some money coming in, the Oak Tree loan, but they had to make big sales to balance the books, very unfortunately. And I think the reason why Antonio Conte left, I'm sure there was more than one reason, but his understanding of the project was, Conte wanted to continue to build and spend more money to even solidify the squad for, hopefully a big Champions League run. and he was essentially told, no, we can't, further strengthen the squad. If anything, we have to make sales and weaken the squad. And Conte is very demanding. His standards are very high, so he decided that wasn't a situation he wanted to be part of. He didn't want to take a step back, so he decided to step away. You mentioned Hakimi, who was, he was the first big sale to balance the books. The Lukaku sale was much more unexpected, and I know Mario can elaborate on this as well, because it was not expected to need to sell Lukaku out of financial necessity. That one was it blindsided Interisti, and I think there was a combination there of Lukaku deciding he wanted to go to Chelsea. He's excited by the project. He's excited about the very high wage offered to him, and then I think Inter ownership then took the opportunity of thinking, oh, if we can get 115 million euros for this guy, this will help us balance our books even further. So it really is a nightmare. I mean, to lose Conte, Hakimi, and Lukaku was Inter's best player this past season, in my humble opinion. It's a really, really tough one. I think that there are some decent pieces left on the squad, no doubt. And Simone Inzaghi, I think, is a good manager and a decent Conte replacement. But I think it's fair to expect Inter are going to take a step back this coming season. Whether it's a small step back or a big step back, we're yet to see that.
Okay.
Go
ahead, Mario. Yeah.
Yeah, just to add to that, it's the financial struggles have been a real problem for Inter for the past 10 years. Let's just call it how it is. It's been 10 years since the last treble, and since then we've been in a financial hole that we've been working to fix. And then once we finally got out of that hole, we blew our load and bought so much money. And then, of course, the pandemic hits, Sunni, and all that. But to keep it more relevant and current, we had to sell a star, obviously. And then Lukaku came out of nowhere. And I don't think the management expected the offer to come in. And then once it came, it was basically too good to refuse. From the statement that Lukaku's agent had given the other day, Marotta, Inzaghi, and the direct management, they wanted to keep him at all costs, but of course Suning makes the final decision, and they made the decision to sell him because, in my opinion, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you've accomplished, unless you're Messi or Ronaldo even maybe. If you get an offer for 100 plus million euros, you take it, especially when you're in a financial hole. You have to. Sure, it sucks to lose Hakimi and Lukaku in the same breath, but these players are replaceable. We said the same thing about Icardi when I didn't say the same thing. Everybody else said the same thing about Icardi when he left. He said, "Oh, who's going to replace Icardi and score 30 goals?"
Yeah,
and I said, "If anyone, you put someone in that position, they'll succeed." Conte is the manager at the time. He's going to build a team around success. He's a successful manager everywhere he's gone. Sure, you could say he's built it up and like it crumbles right as soon as he leaves, like sort of like what Mourinho did when we had him. But at the same time, a win's a win, and you can't take it away. A Scudetto at the end of the day is a Scudetto. You're going to look 20 years from now, you're going to see Inter won the 2020, 2021 Scudetto. You're not going to see the whole, and then underneath it, the underlying fact is they had financial problems after. Sure, they had to clean it up. They sold the best players. But that's not what you're going to see in the record books. You're going to see Scudetto 2020, 2021. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think even I was a little bit surprised with the Lukaku sale until he came out and said that he wants to leave, and that's when I think I even saw like some banners by the fans as even like there's a lot of backlash going on with about that particular transfer. But I guess when you talk about financial struggle that is going on around football right now, it's not only happening at Inter. I think when you, and as Mario put it, when you get 100+ million for a player, you just don't think about it. You just take it and probably build it from there. I'm a little bit sad that we won't see probably a successful title defense next season. But I mean, that's about it. I think there's nothing more to add to it, right? And I think I'm hearing rumors about Insigne coming to Inter Milan, but I'm not sure like how if that's actually going to happen or not. But yeah, hopefully Inter Milan can sign someone, because even Lautaro Martinez is, rumors are coming in that he's probably going to move to Spurs or any other team. I heard like a couple of Premier League teams. I think even Arsenal was linked to it. But yeah, let's move to the previous manager that won you the Scudetto, which was Jose Mourinho. I think he's back at Roma. He's been loved by the fans. I would say so, and I've been watching some of their preseason games. Obviously, preseason is not the way that you judge a team, but they've been okayish. And do you think that he has the team to conquer Italy again? And do you think that Roma and Jose can do it?
To be frank, no. I think that Roma, their objective has to be try to sneak into top four, which will be
Mhm.
very difficult even for them based on their squad. Now, as far as Scudetto contention, I don't know if there's a clear favorite. I personally favor Juventus, and that has a lot. That has more to do with Max Allegri coming back than it does with their actual squad. But I do think the Scudetto could be somewhat wide open. I just don't think Roma have the team for it.
No. Yeah.
They missed out not only on Champions League but even on Europa League last year, qualifying just for the new Conference League.
Yes.
To me, I don't think they're making enough improvements on the squad, and I don't think the improvement in manager is even enough to get them into a Scudetto contending conversation. But I do think that I like the Mourinho move. It does come with some risk, obviously, because he's a volatile guy, right? So
Mhm.
there could be some risk there with Mourinho. But if you look at Roma's weaknesses over the last couple of seasons under Fonseca, really their defense, leaking too many goals, not really being cynical enough. And I think those are things on paper Mourinho can improve. So I think that they have the right idea, right? I mean, they go from more of a free flowing attacking manager who probably didn't have, talking about Fonseca, didn't really have the chops, to fit in Italy. And I'm not even saying, Serie A is better than, any other league. I'm just saying that tactically his style may not have fit that. We know Mourinho's style has fit the Serie A because he did really great things in 2 seasons with Inter. So I like the appointment. I just, quite frankly, don't think Roma have the squad to truly contend this year.
Yeah, I'm
I
I'm not too sold on Roma. Sorry.
Mhm.
I'm not too sold on them. Mourinho, as great as a coach as he is, if he doesn't have the backing for the management and the players that he needs to fit his style of play, because he plays a very intense kind of style of play. So you could say it's almost like similar to Conte because it's so rigid sometimes, where everyone has to work hard. Everyone's got to balls to the wall, hard on your
Mhm.
sleeve kind of players, and they have to fight for every inch. And if he finds players I think Justin Clivert was one of the recent ones that he had an issue with, where
Mhm.
he just might not fit the system because he's not that hardworking, gonna run through a brick wall for you kind of player. And if Mourinho doesn't have that support, that casting support, I think they were trying to bring Chaka for him, and that didn't work out. So I think Chaka would have been a great signing from a Mourinho team. I'm a
Okay.
big fan of his as much as Arsenal fans hate him. But
Mhm.
if you have players like that the coach wants and he doesn't get, it's already a red flag. And once those flags just start adding up, a coach like Mourinho is just going to leave. It's just not going to work out. So I'm putting my over under on half a season for him because I don't think because I don't know how the Roma management is right now. I'm not too familiar, so I don't know if they're not going to get the results. Like if say he's finishing sixth, seventh, teams just dropping points left and right to stupid teams, and they're not performing at the level that they expect him because you're bringing Jose Mourinho. You expect the Scudetto caliber coach with a freaking mid-table team. So when it evens out and you're fifth, sixth, seventh place, and you're not in that Champions League, Europa League contention, or you're fighting for the Conference League, whatever the hell is the case is, there's going to be questions. You know, they're
Yeah.
going to say, okay, we brought you in, we pay you all this money. What the hell are you doing? And, you know, even if he has, you know, like Chris Smalling as a center back who, you know, he had his one good year from Manchester United and then he's kind of fizzled out. What else is there to the team? You know, I don't think they have a core that's going to push for the Scudetto.
Yeah.
Not even close. Can they make
Yeah.
Champions League? Soon to see. But I don't know. I don't think they have it. The top
Yeah.
four teams, like the Inter, Napoli, Juve, Milan, those are pretty much those are heavy hitters right now.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you because I was thinking, I don't think they have the team to even challenge for the Serie, not the Premier League, the Serie. But there he's going to be reunited with some of the players that he's already played with, again Mkhitaryan, Chris Smalling, Pedro, and all those players. So I guess like there's going to be sense of he knows them, so probably maybe he can take out something from them, but to say that they are going to be challenging for the title, that's probably not going to be the case unless all these teams that we're just going to talk about, like Juve, Inter,
Yeah.
AC Milan, and Napoli, unless they struggle a lot. I don't see them challenging even for the top four. I think the realistic target for them would be just Europa League, and that's probably it. And yeah, and as we mentioned, like your Conference League, if they can, yeah, probably they can win it. Even like that's not like it's not like out of the question because Roma's going to be up there with all the other teams that are playing in the Conference League. Yeah, I think that does it. But let's move to the other team that plays at San Siro, AC Milan. I know maybe you guys have a lot of different opinions on that and how AC Milan is at the moment. The rebuild of the club is still ongoing. Like but they lost Donnarumma, they lost Çalhanoğlu to Inter, and the transfer business as of now also hasn't been really strengthening. I think Giroud came in, which is probably going to be a little bit good for the squad, as they even need depth for the Champions League that they're going to play in next seasons. So do you guys feel like if they can get back to their glory days, do you think that they have the squad to challenge for challenging in all competitions they're going to play in this season?
Honestly, I think they have a nice project. They have actually, and you mentioned, and I agree that they haven't exactly been on paper lighting it up with their transfer business, but they have actually spent a lot of money because they redeemed loans from, some key players that were a part of
Yeah.
their squad this past year. I thought that the Tomori redemption was very important, and that one wasn't cheap. And they did lose Donnarumma, and I think that one is going to sting because this guy, he's still so young. He's going to be the great Italian keeper for the next 15 years, right? But
Yes. Yes.
but then I thought that the replacement, I mean, bringing in Maignan is. I think he's going to do the job and he's going to do it fine. So I think that they've done some good business. And the big question for Milan, and I like the Giroud addition as well, even though their front line is very old. I mean, you think about Giroud and Zlatan. I mean, it's like I think an average combined age of those two of like 37 years old. I still think that was a nice piece of business. It's just going to be the question for Milan finding consistency, and I think they still need to make another couple of key moves before the transfer window closes because I know a lot of Milanisti weren't too happy to lose Çalhanoğlu because he was very inconsistent, but they still need to find a proper replacement for him. So there still is some work to do in the transfer window, but they have a nice project. I expect a guy like Sandro Tonali to play a bigger role for them in their midfield this season than he did last year. And their primary two midfielders, if Benacer can stay healthy, he's excellent. Frank Kessie, they've been looking to lock him up to a long-term deal, but I assume he's going to be with the squad long-term. I think they'll come to a deal. He's one of the best midfielders in Serie A. So they can contend. I think the issue for Milan is, can they really find consistency under Stefano Pioli? I know I can probably speak for Mario as well. Given the way his run has gone at Inter and some other Serie A clubs, you're always wondering when the precipitous drop off the cliff is going to happen with Pioli. But overall, he's done a good job at Milan, and I think retaining him was the right thing to do because, getting them to Champions League and helping solidify the project, I think you should reward that consistency with continuity. So I think they're going to be in the mix. I mean, I think at the very minimum, the expectation for Milan would be you have to qualify top 4 again and make Champions League for a second year in a row. And I don't see why they can't dream of competing for a Scudetto, because for, over the first half of last season, they were first place for most of that time. So I don't see why they can't consider themselves in the mix for that.
And sorry, but sorry, one question. I know, like Alex, I think Alex has to leave in a minute's time. But just before you leave, do you mind just sharing a little bit? Do you guys mind sharing your top 4 predictions?
Oh yes, I'm glad you asked. It's tough because I think the top 4 is very wide open. I'm going to go Juventus number 1. That I've been very consistent on that ever since Allegri came back. Juventus, and I hate to say, I think Juventus will win another Scudetto. And I don't know, people can say I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but as things stand right now, assuming there's not another big sale, I'm going to have Inter number 2. Then I'm going to have Atalanta number 3. I'm going to have Milan 4th. And it's hard because I like Napoli's squad quite a bit. And maybe this might depend on whether Insigne stays or go. And I think he's going to stay. That's my hunch. But I'm going to have Napoli like just outside the top 4 like last year. But yet, and let me just illustrate how close I think the top 4 is. Even though I have Napoli 5th, I think Napoli could also compete for a Scudetto. Like that's how wide open I feel like that is. And then I'll probably have Lazio 6th and Roma 7th. So I gave you the top 4 plus a few more.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
And thank you so much for having me on, guys. Have a great rest of the show.
All right. Thank you, Alex.
Bye.
Okay.
Right.
So yeah, we were talking about AC Milan. I think he put up a great point, but yeah, continue. I think you had some points as well.
Yes. So I like this Milan team and how they've come together. Like Alex said, the Tomori signing, I think that was excellent. I think when they first loaned him into the club, in that first derby game, they put him on as a sub because Kjaer got hurt, and he was excellent. I would say this guy, Milan has to sign this guy. He's a center back he's gonna make a difference for them in the Serie A and provide a solid cover, or even as a starting center back for them with all the rotation they're going to need, because playing in 3-4 competitions, it's gonna tire out players like Romagnoli, he's on and off, Kjaer, who's solid but getting up there in age. So Tomori was an excellent signing. I feel like the only drawback to the squad is that Pioli is a manager that isn't going to take you to that next level. Like we saw, he was capable of it, but he can't stay consistent. He's done that everywhere he's gone. Inter, Fiorentina, and he's even shown it in Milan now. They were 30 games undefeated, just something like that.
Yes,
from 2020 into 2019 season into 2020, and once the injuries started coming, I understand that like it's hard to replace the top players. And Çalhanoğlu he fell off towards the end of the season after starting. I think he scored like 7 goals in like the first 12 games or something like that. He was balling out, and then he just fizzled down. So he wasn't able to regroup the whole team in as a collective unit and keep them at the top. It all just started going downhill, and then of course Conte just consistent as he can be. That was the difference between Milan and Inter. I think that they could still push for the Scudetto, but with Allegri in town, it's going to be tough. And like I said, you need that consistency. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You can win 30 games, but if you lose the 31st, but Allegri wins the 31st, Allegri's going to win. You know what I'm saying? So it's not an easy thing to accomplish. The Serie A it's as competitive as it's been in years. Like we saw last year, Inter pushed. The year before, Lazio even pushed. The year before that, Torino was pushing. So you see all these teams are up there now, especially with the ownership and the management. So I think Milan has a really, really good project going. Only problem I feel like they're going to have is Pioli. Unrelated, like Napoli. I think they did a great job bringing Spalletti from Gattuso. I think he's a step up from where you want to be. So
agreed. Yeah. No, I mean, you guys are mentioning about Pioli. I don't really see a problem with him. I think he's done a great job. Great job.
He has.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job to take where Milan is, and I'm really excited. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited to see Milan in the Champions
I
League,
am
back
too.
in the Champions League. Yeah, I think that's a great. I think that's great for the competition as well. I
Yeah,
think they reached the Champions League after what, 7, 8 years, I think. So
something
that's
like
a
that.
good
Yeah,
thing for competition. The only
yeah.
thing that I see, the problems I'm going to see, is that everything ran through Çalhanoğlu, and now he's not going to be at the heart of the midfield. I think Frank Kessie is going to be their senior
Yes.
most player in that is in that midfield. So sorry, he's going to be, he has to take a step up, I think, and the defense looks still solid. I think Theo Hernandez, Tomori has signed a full time contract, and then Skriniar, and then one more I'm forgetting, Romagnoli, yeah, Romagnoli.
Romano, yeah, he's
So
the
yeah,
center back here.
so, and then obviously I mentioned that Giro has been signed. So all these players are all really, really, at least up top. Like I think Zlatan is turning 40. Giroud will turn just 35 in the next month or so. So it's all, when you see the age of these players, and then obviously they're going to play in the Champions League, which will bring fixture congestion.
Yeah,
Because of that, it's going to be a problem. I think they really need to do some kind of strengthening in the transfer window, and there's about 15 days left, so they can
mhm.
still get it. But let's see where they can where they can get it, right.
They also
Uh,
redeemed Brahim Diaz from Real Madrid.
oh yes, correct,
Yes,
correct,
so that's
yes,
that's also a quality signing. I think he was
yes.
very good for them. So I think
Uh-huh.
they have a good project, but like I said, consistency, it's hard. And Pioli,
Yeah, yeah,
I see him as like an interim manager, not the kind of guy he's gonna take you to the promised land. He's not gonna win Scudetto. He may be on a
yeah,
fluke, but I highly doubt it
yeah,
because he's just a replacement, and then he builds the team. Next manager comes, wins with that team.
yeah, yeah.
If that makes
Yeah, it's.
sense.
I mean, obviously, like with Max Allegri, and we're going to
Yeah,
touch on that later. But he's come back. I think Juventus instantly just became title favorites with, obviously,
yeah,
and like Inter Milan, like Conte leaving, and their best
yeah.
players who won them the Scudetto, they left. So it automatically, it's going to be a challenge for any of the team to topple Juventus again. But let's see how Milan does. I think that's a great preview on them.
Yeah.
So the next team I was going to mention is Atalanta. I think I have been really excited with the squad, and the way Gasperini has been doing, or what Gasperini's been doing there for the last last 2 3 years. I think they finished third in the table last time, and
Mhm.
they play really good attacking football. I don't know, like if you saw one of the games against Liverpool last season, when they got defeated in the Champions League at home, I think at Anfield 5-0, and then totally did the opposite to Liverpool at the when they were playing at
Yeah.
Atalanta. And even there were a couple of games other than just the Champions League. I think they were brilliant against Juve. They were so good against Inter Milan. Obviously, they didn't win, but their games have been really close, and you can see that Gasperini's been taking this team somewhere. Obviously, their goalkeeper, Golini, has left for Spurs. Juan Mosso, I think, solves their goalkeeper issues, while Lovato and Demiral, they'll replace Christian Romero, who's also been moved to Spurs. I think what do you think of Atalanta's expectations this season? I think, can you see that this team can go all the way this year?
I don't think so. I think they're a very good team, but they have
Hmm.
their inconsistencies, their inexperience at that high level. Because like we talk about coaches like Conte and how good they are and why they win, but what they want is they want experience and they want people who have been in that position and won. Like the first season with Inter, he specifically said, "I need players that are winners." So he brought in the Vidals. He brought in Lukaku. He brought in, players that have won things. It doesn't matter what they've won, but they've won. So experience is key in these competitions. Like you can fly by, sure, but it's not going to take you to that next level because you're not going to have that intensity and that mentality of winning something, because it's a whole different level. Once you win, you're a winner. You know what I'm saying? You win the Champions League, you win the Serie, you win the World Cup, Euros, whatever it is. You're a winner, and Atalanta doesn't have that. Allegri's a winner, so
Yeah.
he has winners at his disposal. So at any time, Juve can just clean up the league. Last year was the off season with Pirlo. That was the worst Juve team I've seen in a long time. So that's a different story. But Atalanta, as beautiful as they play, as much as well as they've structured this team, it's a selling club. It's like a glorified Palermo, I call them, because they're gonna find the Golinis and the Romeros where they buy super cheap, and then once Spurs come knocking along, Real Madrid, whoever the case is, you're going to see a 40, 50 million euro profit, and that's it. They're going to recycle and find the next person that they can just build the profile and sell. Like, I'm surprised they haven't sold. They sell Gosens? I don't think they did. But, like, that's another player I would expect them to sell because he's excellent, phenomenal.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's taken the Serie A by storm. But, you know, he's going to be on the chopping block, not because of anything, because Atalanta is not a team that wants to. I don't think they have the aspirations to win the Scudetto or the Champions League. I think their goal is to compete, make money, and kind of, you know, build their brand until they actually have enough ammunition and the money and the finance and the support to take them to the next level. So it's like a long project where it's just going up in an upwards trend. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good for the Serie A because you see teams like that and they make you feel good. Like, you don't watch Serie A, but you know how good Atalanta can be. Problem is, the next season they're not going to progress. They might stay at the same level. Like, they made it to the semifinals against PSG and lost in 90 minutes. That's a big that's a big accomplishment. You're a team that spends, I don't know, 50 million euros in a transfer market where PSG spends 50 million euros in a week, you know? So it's like a small minnow going head to head. It's David against Goliath, you know, like they'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
Can they win? I don't think so, but I think they'll be there. They'll be up there. They'll push for it. They'll make their strains. They'll take down a big team if they have to, but putting it all together for Scudetto, Champions League, I don't think they have it.
Yeah, obviously, I think you have those runs, and you know, like if Inter weren't that strong last season, like and obviously we all saw Juventus' struggles last season. If that was like, those are the years that you need to have to for a team like Atalanta to win and to go and win that title, because those years don't come too often in a league. It's not only, I'm not talking only Serie A, but I'm talking about any other league.
Everywhere.
You see Leicester or you see Lille winning the Ligue 1 last year. It's that's the time you need to you need to take advantage of those moments and go for the title, because again, as we're talking about the Serie A teams, all of them are getting stronger, even though you see some or the other way, even if you see like Inter Milan, like, you know, leaving their best players, you still see some or the other way that they get stronger, because obviously now they have the money, they're going to reinvest. They're probably not going to reinvest the entire fund that they've gotten up until now, because obviously, you know, the financial struggles are going on. You know, the one, and I know it's already, you know, it's like 8 months since he left, but I'm surely gonna miss Papa Gomez. I think he was a phenomenal player for Atalanta. I think he was doing great things. I don't know why that fallout was there between Gasperini and him, and then he left for Sevilla, I guess. I'm really gonna miss him, because I really did not follow you know, Atalanta at that moment, but like in the last 2 years when I started playing them, I think I became a fan of Papa Gomez.
He's excellent.
Instantly. I think he's a brilliant player.
And that just goes to show you that it just goes to show you that the management, they don't play no shit. He was the best player.
Yeah.
Arguably one of the best players in Serie A. Gasperini had a problem, they let him go right away. They're not going to say, "Oh, make it work. We need to win." You know, like, that's what you want to do if you're a winning club. But they said, "Nope, see you later. We'll replace him." Pessina came in, and now Pessina's playing on the national team, winning a Euro.
Yeah. You know, before we move forward, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, to the Late Winner Show. Please follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well for more news and updates that you'll get. Anything related to the upcoming podcast and what are we doing in terms of news and everything. So please go ahead and please go ahead and subscribe to our channel as well. Okay, let's move to Napoli. I think Spalletti has made very few changes, but these players are getting really, really old. And rumors, as I mentioned before, that these rumors are coming in about Insigne leaving Napoli. If that happens, and a couple of other players, if that happens, do you think that Napoli is done? Like it's going to take a long while to, I guess, rebuild from this. I think because I remember like 3 4 years ago when even Maurizio Sarri was there, and they almost pushed Juventus for that
Yep.
title. The trio of Mertens, Insigne, Callejon, I think they were sensational.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but now obviously these players are getting old. Do you think that they're done now? They're done. If they let go of these players, I think I think that they're done, and it's going to take a long while to rebuild from here.
I don't think so. I think that they're a really interesting team to follow because they're actually
Mhm.
one of the teams I follow the most, second to Inter in the Serie A right now. Because I have a lot of friends with Napoli, and I'm in a
Mhm.
bunch of their group chats and all that. So I follow them almost as much as I follow Inter because they're such an interesting team. De Laurentiis is an owner that he wants to win, and he just hasn't figured out how yet. He signed Osimhen for 80 million euros. It's a lot of money for a striker that played 12 games and scored like 10 goals. But it's a project. He's looking at it in the long term, and they're really hoping that pays out. But to replace a player like Insigne, if he was to leave, you still have Chucky Lozano. Lozano is a left winger by trade who's been playing right winger and striker for them. So and his first season was bad at Napoli. Everyone was like, "Oh, I can't believe we spent 40 million for them, whatever." But the second season, he was one of the best players on Napoli and in Serie A. I have to say,
Yeah.
he was
Mhm.
excellent. It was a joy to watch him. My only issue with the way they're going is that a owner like De Laurentiis is buying strikers. He spent 80 million on Osimhen and another 20 million on Petagna, who sat on the bench. Only played when Osimhen was hurt, and when he plays, I don't think he's a good striker. I think 20 million for a player like him, you might as well look on the free transfer market for a guy that hasn't played in 6 years, and you'll get the same amount of production from him. I hate the guy. So their biggest problem is their midfield. They have Zielinski, who's excellent,
Zelensky.
phenomenal player, and then they have players like Diego Demme, Lobatka, Fabian Ruiz, who they're not really a great supporting cast. They have Bakayoko, who's defensive minded, and what was his name? Gattuso couldn't find a way to make the three midfielders mesh together to get the most out of them, and I think that was the biggest problem. Because
Yeah.
Lobatka was a good player in the Bundesliga before before he went to Sevilla, I believe it was. And
Yeah.
like a lot of players wanted him, a lot of teams wanted him, and he was an upper coming star. He ends up in Napoli, and it basically was a disaster. Um, their defense, I think it's still pretty good. They have Koulibaly and Manolas. Manolas has been kind of off since he's been in Napoli, and their biggest problems have been the wingbacks. They have Mario Rui and they have Di Lorenzo. Di Lorenzo is good defensively, but offensively he's kind of shaky. He's not the most reliable two-way player when in a system that kind of really relies on it. Mario Rui, on the other hand, great at attacking, cannot defend. And the goalie, they're pretty solid at goal with Ospina and who's the other guy, Meret. But
Yeah.
again, the problem was Gattuso in my eyes. Great manager, but he couldn't put it all together. They had a lot of injuries. COVID happened. I get it. It was a shitty situation, but when you sign a player like Osimhen, I don't think Gattuso was going to get the most out of Osimhen. Because that's an investment for the future. It's a big chunk of money. $80 million is a lot of money for a player. And Napoli fans don't realize that. They think, oh, he's great, he's young, he's got to grow. Listen, when you sign 80 million euro player, you're thinking the first person that goes to my mind, Lukaku. What did Lukaku do? He was player of the season basically 2 years in a row. Best player in Inter, scored 60 goals in 2 years. Osimhen, 80 million, 10 goals, and he can't stay healthy. So it's not his fault, but I think that appointing Spalletti as the new coach, I love Spalletti. I think he's going to take them to the next level. They couldn't make it, and I think Spalletti gives them a fighting chance at the Scudetto, where Gattuso didn't really give you that edge. He's a good coach, but he's like Pioli. He's an expensive Pioli, or he's gonna fill in, fix the team's problems, and leave it for the next coach to bring them to the Champions League, to make a run in Champions League, to push for the Scudetto, to win the Scudetto, which I think now with Spalletti, they're in a better place for that.
So that was going to be my part 2 of Napoli. The Napoli question was, is that is Gattuso an upgrade on is Spalletti an upgrade on Gattuso?
Yes.
So I guess
100%.
I think even I agree with that. I think Gattuso was good in his ways, but to get, for a team like Napoli to get the most out of their team, out of their players right now, I think Gattuso could only do that much. And as you mentioned about, I actually forgot about Osimhen, because I think he's a great player to have on the team. I think he scored like 10 goals in 24 games last season as well. So if he can, something like that. So if he can keep that, I think they're in good hands. And I think I didn't watch the preseason game against Bayern Munich for Napoli. I think
that's right.
Again, you don't judge a team from preseason, but to talk about Osimhen, I think he was good. He was good. I wouldn't say sensational because it's preseason.
To go back onto Insigne real quick, I don't think he's going to leave, and he's using these transfer stories as a bargaining chip to get more money. But
more money, yeah.
I don't know if De Laurentiis is going to buy into it, because De Laurentiis is a very principle-oriented man, and if he says you're going to get 5 million euros a season, not a dime more, you're not going to get a dime more. You're going to have to take the 5 million, or that's how it's going to be. He says he wants 25, 30 million. I don't know how realistic that is. I think he lets him walk next year, unless he's willing to take a pay cut.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think. And now let's just talk a little bit about Lazio as well. I think now Sarri has joined the club. He brought in the familiar face of Alside Haisaj on a free transfer. I think Parolo and Senad Lucic mean that some experience will be missed. But Immobile and Milinkovic-Savic will obviously give them a big boost. They've also signed Felipe Anderson. From West Ham.
Used to from West Ham also.
Yeah, he used to play for Lazio. I think he went from Lazio to West Ham. Yeah, so he's come back to the team. What do you make of Lazio's expectations? And also, before you answer that, I want to really know what Sarri ball is. So if you can explain to me what Sarri ball is, that'll be a great help.
The expectations for Lazio would be to push for Champions League. I don't think they can. I don't think they have it in them, because, like we said 100 times already, Serie is really tight, and that first four it's hard to make it into there and stay in there. It's gonna be a real fight. Sarri ball is basically like attacking, rigid. It's not fluid. It's very rigid. It's a rigid system where everyone is doing their part and everyone has to do their job correctly. It's probably going to be a 4-3-3. I think that's what most all of his teams play. So everyone's going to have to adapt, and you have the players like Immobile, who in a 4-3-3 he isn't the most effective player in that system. But under Sarri, we saw him get the most out of literally anybody. Problem is with his system is that it's very plan A oriented. There's once things goes wrong, there's no way to fix it. There's no adjustments. He's not going to throw an extra forward. He's not going to make adjustments to the midfield. Instead of playing with an attacking midfielder, play with a defensive midfielder. There's none of that. It's going to be very fluid. Off the ball movement is going to be critical. Everyone's going to have to play their part, and if you don't play that part, you're not going to play. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if halfway through the season, Immobile is not doing what Sarri wants. He goes with the next best guy. If Correa's still there for whatever reason, maybe Correa's the guy now. So, we saw him turn Mertens into the false nine. It was excellent. It worked. He found the way to make Insigne and Callejon play together across the field, where you had Insigne cutting in, playing a ball where Callejon makes a perfectly timed run to the back post, unmarked, as if he was in the park by himself, taps it in. It happened 25 times in a year or something like that. It was ridiculous. Like, the attacking aspect isn't the problem. It's the players at his disposal. Like, he still has the Milinkovic-Savic, Luis Alberto, Immobile, Correa. He's got all that. Felipe Anderson. Yeah. The problem is, are they going to buy into Sarri's system? Are they going to fit into exactly what he wants? Because, like I said, it's a very tactical, heavy, strong tactical. Like, I can't think of the word right now. It's like, you have to.
It's a very
intense.
Tactical game that he plays. Yeah.
It's a tactical, intense setup that, like I said, if it doesn't work, you're out, and it's going to look good at times. But when it doesn't look good, what's going to happen then? So if Sarri doesn't get the players that he needs, it could be a mess.
Okay, I think that does it for us. Covered a bunch of teams. I know, like, we didn't talk about Juventus, so our viewers must be thinking, like, why aren't we talking about Juventus? We have another podcast coming up on Monday. With just talking about Juventus, but obviously let's get your thoughts in for Juventus as well. Like, obviously Allegri's back, Ronaldo's staying. Rumors are coming in that Locatelli is probably going to be transferring in from Sassuolo to Juventus. Do you think any other thing for Juventus other than just winning the Scudetto?
They have to win. They got to get back to their winning ways. And like I said, that was the worst Juve team I've seen in my lifetime, almost, since they've been in Serie B. So it's going to be a task that Allegri's going to have to succeed in. And I think he has the players to do it. He's going to have to. I think he wants to find a way to incorporate Dybala into the starting 11 again, which I think is very important to that team. Because he's just such a good player that you can't leave him off. To find a way for him, Ronaldo, Morata, and Cuadrado, all those guys to play together, it's gonna be a tough challenge. But I think Allegri can put it together. Only problem with Juve is the consistent problem of what's going to happen in Champions League. Are they going to finally be back where they want to be in Champions League? Are they going to make it to the finals? They have Ronaldo. Like, they signed Ronaldo so they can win Champions League. They don't sign Ronaldo to score 40 goals in the Serie A. Like, they could do that with they could do that with Morata. They could do that with anybody. They signed him to win Champions League. And Allegri has to find a way to make Ronaldo the star to win Champions League, not the Scudetto. The Scudetto you can win with the freaking Primavera team. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, the Champions League has to be their priority, but they also have to not screw up in the Scudetto. So I think, as much as the fans want to say, oh, we only care about Champions League, we don't care if we win Scudetto anymore, we won it 10 years. Listen, you got to win something. And the Coppa Italia is cool, but it's not the Scudetto, and the Scudetto is not Champions League.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with that, because I feel like that whole project around Ronaldo was about getting the Champions League, and I think they've been really, really bad in the Champions League for the last 2 seasons. And I really felt that against when Pirlo came on last season, I really felt that he was probably going to take Juventus to another level with Ronaldo as well. Like just because he was already a player, and I just had this feeling. Obviously, it was wrong, but I had this feeling that he's gonna take him to that next level. But never happened. I would say again, we're going to cover Juventus in a more detailed manner
Yep.
later. But I really feel that they need to reach semifinals of the Champions League this season. I
They
think
got to do something.
it has to be, and they can't just go out to teams like Porto and all those other teams. I think they have to give a fight in.
Especially because,
Oh, okay.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it also
Because,
it has like, yeah. So
yeah, no,
yeah,
no, real
go ahead.
quick. It's important because Juve, Inter, Milan, whoever's in the Champions League, they have to perform. They have to keep the coefficient going. I know it's such an argument that everyone's got their idea. It's such back and forth between, oh yeah, I hate Juve so much. I hate seeing them win and do anything in Champions League. Or it's, I want the Serie A to grow. I want, Juve to bring the recognition that the Serie A deserves. Same with Inter, same with Milan. So I'm one of those people who is in the side of, I want the Italian teams to succeed. It's, everyone's got their different opinion. I don't really care. Um, I want to see Italian teams do better, because if Juve's losing into Champions League against Porto and like Apoel Nicosia or Bate Borisov, all these small stupid teams,
Yeah.
you're like, all right, they win the league for what? Who are they beating? Mickey Mouse, and like, you're winning a league that stinks, and you can't
Yeah.
translate it to the big stage. So
Champions League, yeah. I think
yeah,
I guess that's what even PSG gets. That's what Bayern
mhm,
Munich gets, because obviously they win and wrap up the title in like March,
yeah,
and after that it's just literally focusing. And in
yeah,
March you're literally in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Why are you not able to do it? Like
yeah,
your entire focus should be on Champions League and not
yeah.
winning the Bundesliga, Serie, or whatever competition that you're playing in. So I think that wraps it for us. I think there's a great season preview for Serie A, which starts next week. Uh, it would have been obviously great if Alex could have stayed on as well. We would have gotten we would get his thoughts in as well. But that being said, I think thank you Mario for joining. And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Late Finner Show, and also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Please go ahead and follow Mario and Alex on Twitter as well. They do, and we'll leave the link in the description below about with their podcast links and everything. Go check it out if you're interested in Serie. I think they did a great discussion on. They've been doing a great discussion on these other on these other Serie A teams. So do go ahead and check that out as well. Well, yeah, and I hope we can do another podcast in some time, just to discuss what's been going on at Syria when they start.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. I'm available anytime. Just hit me up. Follow me on Twitter at Mario Sweatshirt, at Mario Dowski on Instagram. I'm on Interworldwide podcast. They got a lot of Inter stuff, and they're actually starting football worldwide. So it's like a more international spectrum kind of thing. So check that out also. My boy Anthony Privatera and Chris Rivas have been doing a lot of work with that. Um, and I'm also on Cultural Connection with Alex and our other friend Jerry, who couldn't make it. But check us out. It's a lot of good stuff. Always have content going. Like, comment, subscribe, follow us.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, actually, I forgot to ask you about the top four predictions for
Yes.
for Serie this season.
We're going Juve. We're going Inter. We're going Milan, and I like Napoli in fourth place.
Napoli in fourth place, so no
I'm going
no
Napoli fourth place.
Atalanta.
I don't
Okay.
I don't have them doing it.
Okay. Okay. I think my prediction would be Juve, Milan, Atalanta, maybe Inter or Napoli. I
I
would
think that I
probably
like
say
that.
that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that. I
All
don't
right.
hate that. It's just such
Yeah.
a cluster of teams that
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
tossed up at this point.
Yeah. It's just it's very yeah. I mean, I know we all know I think Juve is gonna win the title, but it's just that
Yeah,
the way that their season ended last season, it's just hard to say that they're going to win. Like there's
yeah,
no talk about it. There's no
yeah,
it's not like it can be very different once the season starts. We're obviously going to
yeah.
know a little bit more as to how these teams are going to play. But I think I think let's see what
Yeah.
happens. But for now, I think you with Allegri back, I think Juventus wins it. Yeah,
Yeah, I think so too.
yeah.
He's
Okay,
solid.
yeah. All right. That does it. And yeah, again, thank you so much, Mario, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.